Thank you for your interest in applying for a small business loan from Rising Tide Community Loan Fund. In this video, we'll explain how to fill out our application with our business advisors, Yajahira Rodriguez and Joe Kornfeind. Let's get started.
So this is the application packet that you will receive. The first page gives you an intro on the Rising Tide program and what we do. The second page is a checklist of all the items we will need to process an application. The third page is a business plan outline, just to give you an idea of how to write a business plan if you do not have one. The third page shows you how to create cash flow projections, which is on the checklist, section 1, letter B. This is how you will start doing your cash flow projections. The other section on this page is the business filing. This is if you have not registered your name or your business with the state of Pennsylvania, clicking this QR code will take you there and show you how to do it. If you're not comfortable with doing it, this is something we can help you do as well. The following pages are the application packet. This is section 2 of the checklist. These are the documents that are on section 2 of the checklist that you would need to complete. We will now have our Joe, our business advisor, complete the application for you.
Thanks, Yajahira. Let's start. The first thing you're going to see on this application is that it's a fillable document. So you can go into it and you can see that you can adjust the screen itself by increasing the zoom in and be able to read it a little bit more faster. And so first thing we're always going to start off is with the date that we started this. Basically, what we're going to do is make sure that you list the loan amount that you're looking for. A NAICS code is defined by the state what type of business you're in, what industry. We can help you look that up. There is a resource at the top of the page where you can see the www.census.gov. Basically, if you log on to that, you'll be able to find your industry. So if you were in the grocery store business or if you're in the construction business, it'll have a code for you that you'll be able to insert into under that where it says NAICS code. So the next question talks about what collateral you'll be offering. Now, that's always a big question, and maybe Yajahira can help me with that. When you talk about collateral, are we talking things that we own or things, personal items? What is collateral?
Yes, so acceptable collateral for the loan can be real estate if you own real estate. It can be vehicle title if you have that. Lots of times for a startup business, we also accept business assets, which are things such as equipment or inventory that the business owns. So those are our 3 main collateral types that we use to secure our loans.
Terrific. Okay. And it talks about a guarantor of credit. A guarantor is the person or person's going to pay this loan back?
Correct. So this is a business loan, but we also need to link it to an actual person. So this will be the owner of the business or anyone who is 20%, who has 20% or more ownership to the business has to be listed as a guarantor for this loan.
Terrific. Okay. So now we get down to the company information. So you're going to look, it says legal name. So I'm going to use what the state of Pennsylvania lists as my legal name.
Correct, the name that you registered with the state.
Okay, primary contact, if it's, myself, I'm going to list my name, or if it's someone else that is working with me in the business, that's up to me, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We all have a tax ID number and an EIN number. That's what you're looking for?
Correct.
Okay.
And it would be a 9-digit number. It's 9 digits.
Okay. So obviously we're looking at the name and address, the zip code of the business.
Correct, where the business is registered. That's the address that you would put.
So not my
listed.
home address.
Not
This
your
is
home
my
address,
business.
Where the
Okay.
business is registered. Now, if your business is registered at your residence, then that will be the address you would put there.
Okay. And so even if I own the place, it's my address, but even if I rent it,
Correct.
it's that address.
Correct.
Okay. And then what we're looking for is a line of credit or a secured loan,
Correct.
right? It's always secured.
So if you're offering collateral and you want a loan, then you would put secured loan. If you're not offering any collateral and you want a loan, then you would put unsecured loan.
Okay. Okay. So I'd go back up to making sure that that collateral section was filled out before
Correct.
checking this box off.
Correct.
Perfect. Okay. And then we go back to type of business. And I think as mentioned, is it correct that when I look at the NAICS code, what type of business I'm in?
Correct. So
Okay.
whether you have a salon or a restaurant, you just put the type of business that it's in, that it is. If you are starting, then you would put start a business, so you would put 0 years, if it's a startup business.
Okay. So that's another question. So if I'm actually already existing business, I can apply for loans as well. And if I'm a startup business, I can apply for loans.
Correct.
Okay. So if I am in business, I'm just going to mark the number of years that I've been in business. And then the number of employees that work for me,
Yeah,
correct?
correct.
But then the bottom line says the time under management. So does that mean that the number of businesses in years, it could be a well-established business, it's been there for years, and now I'm the new owner, and that would be the difference in the number?
Right. It would be the time of management that you've been operating this specific business that you have listed here.
Okay, terrific. So when I go back to that and look at type of business that they list here, um, obviously by my filing, I'm going to make sure that that's correct. So if I listed my business as a limited liability, an LLC, then I would just check off limited liability
Correct.
company.
So however you register your business filing with the state, that's what you would check off. So if you listed it like you stated, a LLC, you would click limited liability. If you are a sole proprietor, then you would check off sole proprietor. So however it is registered with the state, that's the structure that you select on this section.
And if I'm having trouble, like going back even in the first page about where you show me the QR code of filing, and I'm just not clear on it, you'll be able to help me.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's a good thing because, there's a lot of choices that we could make, and I'd certainly rely on getting some good advice about which entity to form so I don't make a mistake.
Yes.
So terrific. We also look at the principals and owners. So is that different? I mean, is a principal and an owner different, or are they the same?
They're the same. So you will list the principal/owner based on how you register your business. So if you register your business as an LLC with the state, you would indicate the names of the members that you listed on that registration. So
see.
if it's just you, you would put your name, you're 100% owner. If it's husband and wife that's listed, then you would indicate both of your names and the percentage that you've elected to have.
So if I was an LLC, my name is going to be listed there, and anybody else who's involved with my LLC that actually is part of it
Right, that you registered their name
with the state.
Yep.
And so if it is a husband and wife, or we might be 50-50. So we'd
Correct.
see each. Now, under the title, would we write owner, or is it something else?
As an LLC, you are considered a member. So you will always write member as an LLC. If you are a corporation, then you will indicate what your title would be, which could be president, treasurer, secretary, VP. If you're sole proprietor, then you would just be an owner because it's simply you.
Okay, terrific. So then we look at the business trade references. in that regard. So I'm gonna skip one. So the banking relationship. Do I need an account before I apply?
You do not. So this is strictly your business banking information. So if you are a startup, more than likely you will not have a business checking account. If you don't, that is fine. You can start the application and submit it without a checking account, a business checking account. However, at the end of the process, you will need to open a business checking account. If you are an existing business, this information you will need to fill in because you should definitely have a business checking account if you're existing already.
Terrific. So what you're saying is if I actually go through the process, apply for the loan and I'm approved, the loan will go into that business checking account.
Correct.
So that's why I need it.
Correct. And
Okay.
it's only your business checking account. This is not your personal checking account.
Okay. And now we go to business trade references. I'm assuming that means people I do business with already.
Correct. If you have an account with someone, for instance, if you own a restaurant and you get your inventory or supplies from, let's just say, the restaurant store, you would just indicate that that's one of your, references that you get your supplies from.
Okay.
If you don't have anyone, then you would just leave it blank.
Okay. So if we are just starting out, we would leave that blank because we haven't really made trades at that point.
Correct.
Okay. That's clearer now just because I wasn't quite sure with that if as I was planning all this that if there would be vendors I'd be dealing with if you want me to list them or not. Okay. So we get to miscellaneous at this point and we look at this in three questions that are available for us here. And is the business been party to any claim or lawsuit? So if I'm just starting out, I can assume nobody has any claims against it.
Correct.
Okay.
If you're starting out, there shouldn't.
So, but
be.
if I've been in business and we actually have someone who has, is in suing us or there's litigation or something, that's where I check yes off.
You would check yes, and
Okay.
then we would just need an update as to what's the status of that lawsuit.
Okay. And the next question is it's only solely part of the business. So if the business is not declared bankruptcy at any time, it's a no.
It's a no.
So this doesn't deal with my personal. It's all business. Okay. So I'm thinking as the business is what
Yes.
we're at right now. Okay. And then if we're looking at this as a guarantor on obligations not listed in further statements. So are you saying if I'm a guarantor to someone else's loan? Is that what you're asking?
Correct.
Okay. So if I've done, if I have, does it only business or it's only, is it personal as well?
This is business.
Okay. All right. So everything here is business. So if I haven't been a guarantor for a business,
Then
the
you
answer
would
is no.
No.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And then if I do have questions or I want to expand on any of the yeses, that's where I put them in the detail space.
Correct.
Okay. And then signatures. Now this is like my personal signature or am I signing for the company? Is it my personal signature?
Your personal signature, and then you would list, again, depending on how you structured your business, whether if it's an LLC, your title will be member. If you're a corporation, depending on your title, it could be president, VP. But everyone who is a guarantor, who's listed as a guarantor on this sheet must sign.
Okay. And by signing, you don't want like a nickname or, I
Your
go by Joe, you want Joseph,
Yeah,
you want
your
what's
legal name.
my legal name. Okay. And that's going to be important later on, I assume.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So now page 4 talks about personal finances. Now, again, I'm coming back as me, as the individual, as Joe, right?
Correct.
Okay. So which one do I check off if I'm, looking now am I talking about individual credit? If I'm applying for joint, it all depends on what?
It depends on how you listed on the first page,
Okay.
guarantors.
Okay.
Most of the times when you complete this section, if it's just one single member, you just complete sections 1, 3, and possibly 4 of this personal financial statement.
Okay. So now if there are more than, there's more people involved, even if it's husband and wife, we fill out both sections?
So if it's husband and wife, You would fill out the whole section, section 1 and 2.
Okay,
And then the bottom, section 3, where it talks about assets and liabilities, husband and wife most of the times have combined information. If it's two separate partners where they're not related in any way, each guarantor has to fill this personal financial statement separately.
I see. Okay. So if my brother and I go into business together, you'd want to see his information and my information?
Correct. You each will have to fill this form out separately.
Okay. And so what if we're a startup business? I mean, are you looking at length of employment from our current employer or previous or our current employers because we haven't started yet?
Correct, from your current employer.
Okay. But if we are in business together,
And that is your
we are our own employer?
Yes, then you would indicate the
Okay.
time that you've been working there.
And that could go back to the second page. It said years of management, correct?
Correct.
So
Yep.
those will connect. I see. All right. So now we get into personal cash and on hand. So if I'm doing this individually, this is me as the individual. Like basically when I talk about cash on hand, that's talking about things that are in savings accounts and other
Correct.
checking
So
accounts.
cash on hands will be what you personal, has nothing to do with business. So this is what you personally have in your bank account. So this is just a rough idea of what, as of the day you fill out the application, how much money do you have in your account?
Okay. So if we were a husband and wife in our business, this could be one.
Right.
But if my brother and I, he would need to fill another form out of this.
Correct.
To show what he has and what I have.
What you have, correct.
Perfect. Okay. So then cash on hand could mean anything in bank accounts or
Or
checking
CD.
accounts, CDs. Okay.
Yep.
And that also would work with certificates in other institutions like CDs. And I see behind it is a Schedule A. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, so let's just say you own real estate. You would indicate
Oh,
on here, roughly what do you think the value of your property is? Then you will indicate that there. And then when it says schedule, what is that?
There's a Schedule A, B, C, D listed. Real estate is under D.
So for example, real estate, you would, like I stated, put the value of the property there, and then you will go down to Schedule D.
Oh, I see on the second
In the
page.
second page,
Oh, I
you
see.
would go down to Schedule D and put the information that is asking here,
Oh, I see. So the first page is just kind of the highlight.
the highlight.
And then you expand on it in these
And the
schedules.
schedule
Okay.
that it pertains to.
But only when I look at these assets listed here, not all of them have schedules.
Correct.
Okay. So I just don't want to mess that up.
So, and another item is if you have automobiles that you own clear, that you have the title,
So a lease car won't work?
a lease car will not work, the finance car will not work. So you don't own that vehicle yet. It's
Okay.
only if you have the clear title. Let's just say you have two vehicles, roughly what do you think the value is of those vehicles? And you would indicate that on there.
Okay. And if there's something here that's kind of not listed, but I have other assets, maybe I own a painting that my grandmother gave me that's worth money. I could list that.
You could list that.
Okay.
And if you don't have anything here, then you would just leave it blank.
Okay. I see. So now we get to the other side. Those are things we owe,
Correct.
right? I
Those
like
are
the
your
asset
liabilities.
side,
Yes.
but this is what we owe. Okay. So notes payable to this institution. Are we talking Rising Tide?
It could be to Rising Tide if you previously had a loan with us.
Okay.
If you don't have a loan with us, then you wouldn't put anything there.
Okay.
If you have a personal loan with another bank,
That would go on the second line, notes payable to other institutions?
yes, then you would indicate roughly what you still owe on that loan that you have with someone else, whether
Okay.
it's a bank. There's other line items there. If you owe money to family and you have an arrangement to pay them back, that's, a debt that you have as well.
Would a student loan go into that
Yes.
category?
Yes.
Okay. And then we again, a liability to brokers.
Yep, pretty much anyone you owe money to, you
Oh.
would just indicate it here. Same thing
I
with
see.
your car loan. I know it's lumped together where it says car payment and credit cards.
Mhm.
You would just have to lump it as to how much you still owe in your car. As far as credit cards, what is the balance that you owe at the time of filling this application out?
Okay. And same way here, if I'm looking at something I owe to another person that's secured, that's somebody holding collateral against my loan to them. Or,
Correct.
you know,
Yep.
they lent me money and I gave them something to secure that loan.
Correct.
And it could be in writing and
In writing, yep.
anything it could even be between friends.
We will not ask you for documentation of it.
Okay,
You just, if you have it, you just list it so that way we know, what debts you have.
I see. Okay. And then when I go back to looking at this again, I'm in the mindset of personal. So this is my will that you want. So because you're asking if I have a will.
Correct. These are your personal financial, so it's your personal information here.
And the executor is the person that handles all the will issues of the estate.
Correct.
Okay. And again, if you declare bankruptcy, now this is me personally. Remember, I think you asked me that question in the business
Correct.
service application. That was business
That's
only.
the business.
Now, this is personal.
This is personal.
Okay.
So if you have filed for bankruptcy, and there's no discharge yet, you cannot proceed with this loan application.
Okay.
However, if you did file for bankruptcy and it is discharged, then you can continue with the application.
And then as part of the IRS audit question, so if we've been audited, it's just a question, are we current or is it,
Correct.
it could have been satisfied at that point.
Correct.
So as
Yep.
long as we have no outstanding issues with
Yep,
the
so if
IRS.
you indicated yes, you just need to provide us with a status of what's currently happening with.
So if I write yes and it was 10 years ago, I just say 10 years ago.
Correct.
Okay. And why is it good to, I get this from an accountant standpoint and an attorney, but why is it good to have an attorney and accountant?
If you're starting a business, it's always suggested to have an attorney and accountant. Attorney, just because of legal regulations that you may not be aware of, it's good to have an accountant there to sort of guide you through that. And an accountant working with your numbers, your finances, your revenue and expenses, it's always a plus to have an accountant kind of get you started through that process. If you don't, as a startup, have an accountant yet, that's fine. If you have a specific accountant that you've been doing, let's just say your personal taxes, and you feel comfortable with using them with your business, then I would suggest just list their name and their location there.
Okay, so this is a good way of looking at these two categories, an accountant and attorney, to make sure that down the road, it's good advice to have one.
Oh,
At
absolutely.
at least start the process of thinking about who I'm going to use.
Correct.
Okay. So now we get to section 4 and we talk about annual income. Now, are we talking about annual income of the whole family, or are we talking just my income?
Your annual income. Your
My personal
yep,
annual income. So this is just me.
just you, unless this is filled out with a husband and wife.
Living under the same roof?
Living under the same roof, then it'll be just combined
I
annual
see.
income.
But if it was my
It's
brother
just-
and I,
yep.
he'd have a separate form and I would have one as well.
Correct.
This is just me.
Just
All
me.
right. And so, salaries, we're talking about annual salary at the end of the year. So this is before or after taxes? So if I say I make X amount, but I don't really take that home in my check, which number are you
We
looking
need your
for?
gross amount.
The gross amount. Okay. So this is what I earn, not what I take home. Okay. And then if there's any bonuses or commission work,
You would indicate that there.
I get that. Dividends are things I have invested in my stocks and so
Yes.
forth. So then I can actually look back on the other page individually and see that as an
Then
asset,
you have
correct?
that as an asset.
Okay,
correct.
so what I'm getting the feel is if we're filling it out here, it's got to match somewhere else on the
Correct.
rest of the form.
And
just to
if
be
you
accurate.
don't have any of this, then you would just leave it blank.
I see. Okay. And then annual expenditures. Now, this is what I spend in a year.
Correct.
So not my monthly mortgage payment. This is adding up all those months
All those
together
months,
and
yep.
total it as the year.
As a year.
Okay. And then same way with real estate taxes and, all those taxes we pay all year,
Yep.
the
If
total
you own
amount.
property.
If we own
correct.
property.
Mhm.
Okay. And then if what we're looking for is taxes for federal, state. So is that when I go back to that salary question, this is kind of the expenses of what they take out of my check?
Correct.
Okay. So I'll have all that really on my
your
checks
tax,
and
yes, there you
my previous taxes. Okay. And then insurance payments. Are we talking like personal insurance payments, you mean? Like for my house?
Any insurance, yeah, well, yes. Wait, I don't know. I don't even think people really look at this.
Okay,
Mm.
we can get back to that one. But anything else that I pay here, like alimony, child support?
You would indicate it there, but this reflects back to the first page. So whatever you indicated as an asset,
Go up here.
if it asks you for an asset, then you would fill it up. You would fill that section. If you didn't fill anything in the assets section,
Okay.
then you don't fill anything out there.
Oh, I see. So maybe insurance could be if I own automobiles, I have to have them insured, correct? So I know I have a payment for that. What do I pay in a year?
In a year,
Or if I list it back here, a house,
right? So
then I
you
would
fill
have the
real estate
insurance on what I pay per year. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then when we talk about contingency payments, like meaning, what does that mean? Do I have to pay anything in liabilities? Can you expand on that? Under contingent liabilities? Are we talking here about things that we have been, we still owe on and involved in, any like legal action or debts or circumstances?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what you would indicate on that section there.
And that could possibly be listed under liabilities under others.
Liabilities under others, correct.
Okay, so I'm just trying to match everything up. And then we get back to this again, and those are those schedules that I saw on the first
Yep,
page.
the first page.
Give me a little bit more expansion with the description, account numbers,
Correct.
what type
yes.
of
If you
account.
indicate anything on the assets and it tells you to refer to a specific schedule, then you come on this page and you add more details to it.
Okay, so it's good to have this, like especially with life insurance, having the right policy numbers and
Correct.
the cash value.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of homework I got to do for this application just to have the
Absolutely.
information
Yeah.
available. Okay, because we don't always have that on the top of our heads. We don't know them.
No, you don't.
Okay. And
And
then
it's the same thing.
same thing.
Yep.
Okay.
And then on the bottom here, you have to make sure that whoever's listed on sections 1 and 2 sign this document.
Okay. So it could be if we're talking husband and wife, we're going to get both signatures on this. So really by signing this, both people understand what's listed.
Correct.
So there's no gray area. If you sign it, you know what was listed as you submit this application. Okay. Thank you. All right. So now personal loan. So personal budget. I'm back to myself again. So we haven't talked about the company yet. And so personal budget. Now, gross pay from an annual monthly. So remember the last page talked about annual. So now you're saying how much do I make per month?
Right, your gross pay. So this document here, it's the personal budget for the household.
Oh, I see.
So this is for any and everyone in the household who is making or earning money. You indicate that on this section.
So I have a couple kids and living in the house who work, my kids work. And so their income helps us as well. I see.
Yes.
So would it also include like from other jobs? So if I'm, doing some part-time work?
Yes. So let's just say for the gross monthly income, this would be for the applicant who's applying. They would indicate on that first line what their gross pay is for the month. The third line where it says spouse, you would indicate if your spouse is working, what he or she makes gross, their gross pay for that month.
Okay.
If let's just say your mother lives with you and she receives SSI, you would include her SSI in there. You don't have to include her name. You just have to say.
But that's where it would come from government. So
Right.
any assistance that we get.
That if somebody in the house gets financial assistance on a monthly basis, you indicate that there.
Okay.
We will not ask you for pay stubs. We will not ask you for their names or anything like that. We just need to know what is the total income that's coming into the house on a monthly basis.
I see. And then so same way with like interest income. So even if I have money saved in some of those accounts that we talked about under the assets, but if I don't take money from them, but it stays in that account, we don't count that as income because we need to have it come into the house in some way.
Correct.
All right. Same way with bonuses. Now, rental income. Now, this isn't talking what I pay. This is if I owned a rental property and receive rent.
Correct.
Okay. That's clear. And then alimony and child support, again, not what I pay, what someone is receiving, what I'm getting in a month.
So if your only income is child support, then that's what you would indicate there as your monthly income.
Okay.
If you are an owner of a business and you take a salary or a pay, that is what you will indicate in this line for gross salary. You do not put what the business, profits at the end of the month. It's what you as a business owner take for yourself.
So if I'm the owner, then up in the gross monthly from an employer, it should be blank if I'm the owner, right? Because then I'm going to go back down to here and say, well, this is what I take out as a draw every
As a
month.
draw,
Could be
correct.
$1,000 a month,
Correct.
2,000,
It could
whatever
be
it
2,000.
is.
And which is like most business owners, what they take every month is not the same, which we
Mhm.
understand. So we just need an average of what it is that you need to take to be able to pay your monthly household bills.
I see.
That's
And-
the
and-
amount that you would indicate.
And I think I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of this application where you talked about the cash flow statement.
Correct.
That's going to be on that, right?
Yes.
So it says proprietor withdraw, like the sources of income from the
Yeah.
owner.
The owner's withdrawal.
Right.
Yep.
So that's what we would know we were going to take out. So it's got to be included in that cash flow because
Yes.
it makes sense. We need to live. So we have to have some money coming out of the business,
Yes.
even from the beginning. Okay. Now this is the side that I'm paying out, correct? So if I have a mortgage payment or a rental, as far as my rent every month, that's by the month,
Those are the
correct?
expenses that you would have to list there.
So I see it different here though, because it says mortgage and rent here. That's where I'm living, right? It says primary residence.
Right, that's the mortgage that
That's
you pay.
on my house
On
or
your house.
what I'm paying rent. But then I see the next one ask if it's an investment property.
Right,
So I'm making a payment. So maybe I do own an income property, I'm renting it to someone else.
right,
And that mortgage on there per month is
right. So
whatever
that's what
dollar
you-
amount. it
So
is.
let's just say your mortgage is $2,000 for your investment property,
Right,
but you're charging your renter 2,500. So you would put on the income to the left.
right. The rental income is
rent
2,500,
but your mortgage is
$2,000,
$2,000.
but that's separate from my own
That's
house.
separate from your own house.
Okay. And then here's always a question. Second mortgage, home equity. That's kind of what I borrow against my personal residence, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that comes with a payment, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, so we'd want to list that. Now, auto loan, so that's going back again. So if I don't own my auto outright, it's not really an asset yet, correct?
Correct.
And so I'm going to look at this and say, well, here's my monthly payments
For
for
your
this
car.
car loan or a
Correct.
lease. Is lease mean too?
Yep,
Okay.
lease, finance
Anything that I owe on a car,
on a car.
lease or buy.
Yep.
All right. And then credit card minimum. So am I adding up all my credit cards for the minimum payment?
So yes, but it's just the minimum payment. So let's just say you have 3 credit cards and their minimum that you pay is $30 for each. So then you would put $90 here because that's
And-
what you pay.
Okay, so but I know on the credit cards, it'll list a minimum payment that we have to make.
Right.
But if we're making more, do we still list the minimum payment here? Because it asks the minimum.
The minimum is what your minimum is. So
Oh,
if it's,
I
let's
see.
just say you pay $100
Okay,
per credit card, even
Yep.
though the minimum that they're asking is 30, but your minimum is 100. So then you would put $300 because your minimum is $100 per credit card.
okay. So that's what I was talking. I didn't understand that one. And then if I owe any money to any other lending institutions that I'm paying off, maybe a student loan or anything, I'm going to look at all those loans,
And then combine
combine them all.
what you pay monthly for them.
Okay, and then same way with loans to relatives or friends?
Same thing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I never expected them to get paid back. But, all right, so I'll list what we owe them and I'll put that down. But I can see alimony as being important to
Yes.
see what I owe on that or child support. That's good to know. So basically what you're saying is at the end of the day, I'm going to look at how much I bring in a month and how much goes out in a
Yeah.
month.
And the income, how much income comes into this household?
Yes, not just
strictly
me.
you, is
Okay,
everyone in the household
everybody.
who has an income coming in.
Okay, perfect. And then same things, if
Signing.
we're signing it full name, full legal name.
Full legal name.
Okay, current date that we're filling all this out.
Yes.
And then if it's a spouse or, even if it's a business partner, they're going to have another form
They need to fill this form out
on
separately.
separate. So I'd
Yes.
only see my signature and he or she would bring me another form, just like
So
this.
it's like if it's a husband and wife and they live in the same household
Yes.
and both of them are guarantors and they both sign.
Okay.
If it's in the case like you and your brother, you live in your place, he lives in his.
Yes.
You each need to complete this form separately.
Okay. Okay. So now we're getting the program participant application. Okay. Same thing here, right? We're going to legal name,
Legal name.
and then the date we're filling out, where we live, our current
So
address.
this is your current address.
Our
where
current
you
residence.
personally live.
And so what county it's in.
Correct.
Okay. And then if I don't have a home phone, but I use my cell, it's only one listing.
That's fine.
That's okay. And then I could also list work.
Yes.
And if this was my business, that's what you'd want?
Yes.
Work anywhere where I work, whether it's for
the best
myself
way
or somebody
to
else.
contact you.
Oh, okay. Same way with email. You want to
Yes.
have a personal
A
email.
personal email address.
Okay. And then we would fill out the social security, and date of birth. And again, that's really listing the month, the day, and the year.
Correct.
All right. Primary language, what is I most comfortably speaking?
Speaking, correct.
And understanding as well.
And understanding.
All right. And then here's where we define this, going back to the business application, it's a startup
Yes. So
or
for us,
existing.
a startup would be a business that's has been operating for 12 months or less.
Okay.
If you've been operating for 12 months consecutively or more, then you are considered existing.
All right. I see. And then there's that NAICS code we talked about. I'd asked earlier on
Yes.
page one.
On page one.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So,
you just indicate, and it's a 6-digit number.
okay, perfect. Now, here's the total annual household income. So am I going to go back to these numbers? And I'm going, that's monthly.
Yes. So right on the household budget form, whatever the total household monthly total is, you would take that number and you would multiply it by 12,
I see.
and that will be your total annual income.
And so really those two numbers are going to have to match.
Correct.
Okay. And so when I look at that matching, what I'm going to ask you is that, so for example, if that said $1,000, just like say for, so this should say 12,000.
Correct.
Okay. Easy enough. Now, head of household, what do you mean by that?
So on your tax returns, who is the person that pretty much pays for most of the expenses in the household? Is that person a male or a female? So you can refer to your tax returns.
So whoever brings in the most income.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. And so the next questions ask, because this application we're part of the community action of the Lehigh Valley.
Yes. So the next two questions are, just to sum it up, one of them is asking, have you ever received any donations from community action? The other question is asking, have you ever done any donations or received, given any assistance? You indicate yes or no. If you indicate yes, that doesn't mean that you cannot apply. We just kind of provide us, a status of what happened or what donation you received or what did you donate.
Okay. Now we come back to the signature page here again. Now since this is individual, if it was husband and wife, would we each have to fill one of these out?
So if it's a husband and wife, yes. You will each fill out this first page individually.
Only the first page.
Page individually.
Okay. And then if it's my brother and I in a business or applying for this loan,
Then
we each
you
would
each
fill
have
out
to
the
fill out
full
form.
the
So
full
this
form.
form right here is 3 pages, which is this page and the
Okay.
following 2 pages.
I see. Okay.
Okay.
So that would be complete if we're under one house,
If-
just the first page.
Just the first page.
Okay.
If it's under one house, it's the first page that each person in the house will complete. So like, as I stated, if it's a husband and wife and they're both on this loan, they're guarantors
Mhm.
of this loan,
Okay.
the husband fills out this page and the wife fills out this page separately. The following 2 pages, because they're in a household, is just their information. So the second page here would be, he would list the husband as
I
the
see on
male.
the top, it says individual.
Correct.
So this is where I would fill it out as me. And if my brother would fill it out, it would fill it out as him. Like he
Right.
would do one his
He
own.
has to complete, if it's two separate partners and two separate household, each partner or guarantor has to fill the 3 pages out separately.
Okay, but if I'm filling this out, let's say it's my wife and I in business, one of us would fill this out.
Yes. So if it's a husband and wife, the husband and wife each fill out page 1 and 2 separately.
1 and 2. Okay.
1 and 2 separately.
Okay.
The third page
Is
is
under
husband and wife.
household.
It's a household. So
Okay.
only one person fills that out.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you. And so, again, pretty general questions, age, gender. Here again, we're talking education level of, let's say I'm filling out, it's my education level, correct? Where I went. Now, disconnected youth, what does that mean? Where it says youth 14 to 24, other, neither living or working or in school.
So these are youths that live in your home that are not currently in school, maybe due to behavioral reasons. These are the children that you include in here.
Okay. And then the question is health insurance. So disability, that has to be documented, right? Just because, we wouldn't have a documented disability on here.
It would have to be. We won't ask you for documentation of it, but it has to be a documented disability.
Okay.
It's not one that, oh, I can't see.
Or I wear glasses.
Or I wear glasses. That's not a disability. Or I have asthma.
It would be something that prevents me from working.
Correct. And that is
performing the
documented.
function. Yeah,
Correct.
okay. And I might even be getting assistance for that.
Correct.
Okay. Health insurance. Now, if I have health insurance, I'm going to check off the box. Yeah.
Correct.
Right. And then if I go down the bottom, I'm going to look at, all the varieties of insurance I could have. So Medicaid, Medicare. If I'm working for someone, that's what I would place by employment base.
Correct.
So the company I work for pays my insurance.
Correct. So you would indicate which of the following insurance types falls for you.
Okay. And then obviously if I don't have health insurance, I don't answer that second question because I wouldn't have anything.
You don't, right.
Okay.
So if you can indicate no, then
it's no.
You don't need to click anything.
Okay. And then we get up to the top of the page where it talks ethnicity. That's pretty easy to fill. Just check off the box.
Just check it off.
We're just checking boxes in every one of these categories. We're not writing age or anything in there. We just
checking or marking with an X,
okay.
A 1, as long as you mark it however way
so,
you like.
Okay. And then same way with race.
Yep.
Military, if you ever been in the military, yes. And if I haven't been, then I've never served. And then coming down to the question here, employed full-time, employed part-time. Does that also include myself? If I'm already an existing business, I am working full-time for myself.
So whatever your work status is at the time of filling out this application.
Okay. And it could be unemployed, long-term and short-term.
You could be.
Right. So I got into the one to get into my own business. I just been laid off for a few months and I figured this was a time now to go into business. That would be short-term.
That would be short-term, correct.
Okay, so now we get to that, what you were talking about before with household, right?
Yes.
So now I'm thinking of it as everybody in my house.
Yep.
And so, okay, so what best describes me? If I was single, I check off single. If I, 2 adults but no kids,
You would
just
check
be,
that.
that
If
would be
it's
it.
a household with a mom and dad and kids, you'll be 2-parent household.
Okay, but if I'm a single parent, I check that off too.
Right.
And then I would look at that as
Yes.
2-parent
Yep.
household.
So whatever your household type is, that's
Okay.
what you would select there.
Okay, and then again, I can have non-related adults with children living in my house. Anybody who's there.
Type is.
And multi-generation will be like my mom lives with me.
Right.
Okay, so that's different generations. Okay. And then, the household size, we're just counting, right? You just want to
How
know
many people
who's under this
in
roof.
that household?
Okay. And then simple question, do we rent? Do we own? If I was homeless, I could check that off. Other would be, what if I was living with my parents? Would that be other?
If you're paying rent, then that would be other.
Okay, as long as I pay rent. If I'm
Yep.
not paying rent,
Yeah.
then it's not right. So I'm not there. So, okay, the level of household income. So this is interesting because when I saw it the first time, it's a little bit, confusing, but maybe you can walk me through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up that number of how much money comes into my house total,
Correct. So you would
right?
go up to the first page of the program participant form.
Yep.
And you look at your
Income.
total annual income.
Yep. And then I'm
And then you go down.
back down. So
and
that number
select-
there.
Yep. So remember that number and then select the number of people in your household.
Right. So remember we said we had to multiply it and for making it easier, we said that was $12,000.
12,000.
So now if I had two people living in my household, I'd go down to the number of two and I would go with 12,000.
And you would see.
So it would run in between the 50 and 75%. Correct? So I'm thinking 12,000, it's not quite 15, but it's a lot more than 10.
Correct.
So then when I get into that category, I'm going to go up to this box and check off 51 to 75. I see.
You would do it.
Okay. So it's easy enough as long as I go back to that first page.
The first page.
That
Your
amount,
total- and then
look at the number of people in the
household.
house and then just run my finger across there and see where I land.
Correct.
And then check off the box up above. Okay. And then this is interesting because if I only work, I don't have any other income. It's just my work. So I got income coming in as from employment only.
Right. So
That's
then
my
you just
checkbox.
check this out.
Okay. So now it says employment and other income. So I noticed that the second category is the other.
Correct.
So that's easy enough. So if I have something listed here, maybe I get VA benefit or I get disability,
Mhm.
I'm going to check that box off, but I also work.
Correct.
So that's what it would mean.
Right. So then you would
Check that box
not
off.
that one, you would check this one off.
I see. Okay, so not the first one, but it says income, I do work, but I do get some benefits. I might get, a couple child support.
Right. So
And
then
that's
you would indicate
other.
income and other income. If you get, let's just say you get employment and you get other non-cash benefits like
Right.
SNAP or LIHEAP.
Oh, I see that down here.
Yep.
So is it probably better to go to those two boxes first and look it up and say, oh yeah, I do get SNAP and I do have WIC and I also get some child support. I would check those boxes
Check
off,
those
right?
off first and
And
then
then go back up here and
And
then which one I would
pick which
choose.
one here. So if you earning income from a job,
Mhm.
but yet you get LIHEAP and let's just say SNAP, then you would indicate income and non-cash benefits.
Benefits. That's the number C or letter C, I should
Yep.
say.
So then you
Okay.
would click that's your income.
Okay. And then it could also work the same way. So if I was down into the non-cash benefits, but I also worked, because I might get SNAP or
Mhm.
other benefits, but I still do have a job. So that would be that section.
That would be that section.
So I found it easier just to go down and find those, check these boxes 14 and 15 first, and then go up and see which category I fit,
Yes.
and then check that box off. Okay. And
So those are the documents in the packet. But you're not done yet. So you just filled out the paperwork that's included in the packet.
so you said I'm not done?
No, you're not done. So we're gonna go back up here, up on the checklist, and we are going to check off what we've done so far. Okay. So right here. So section 2 are all the documents you just filled out. So if those are all completed, you would check these off.
So I see a red asterisk next to them.
Yeah, so those red asterisks are each guarantor on the loan must complete these separately.
I see. Okay.
So we can say that for section 2, this part is already done. So we would check that off because we know that this part is done. We already completed.
So it's a good idea if I check them off
Yep,
before I even
check them off.
send anything back
This
in.
tells us and it tells you, okay, you've done this section 2 already.
Okay.
Now we go to section 1, the business plan. This is something that you also have to provide to us. As I stated, we have the business outline, which is right here. Kind of gives you an idea of what are the things that you should include in your business plan. If you don't know how to write a business plan, this is something we can help you with. We won't write it for you, but we can definitely, guide you in that process.
What's the importance of the business plan?
So the business plan is sort of like a roadmap of how your business will be run.
Okay, so even if it's in my head and I know what I want to do, it's better
You-
to write it all
Yeah,
down?
you need to write it on paper.
Okay,
Okay. Okay, so section 1B is the projected cash flow, which I showed you before, has a QR code. That QR code has a video explaining to you how to start with the cash flow projections. If you still are not understanding the video, we can definitely schedule an appointment with you to work that out. Business filing, same thing, registering your name with the business. If you haven't done it, we can also help with this. So that's section 1.
okay.
Section 2 is already done. Let's go to section 3. So section 3, letter H, is the application fee. So our application range from $200 to $500 depending on how much you want to borrow. To start the application process, you have to pay $150 upfront. That could be in the form of cash, check, or money order, and that is made out to the Rising Tide. That is what gets this process started. If you are approved for the loan, the remaining balance of the app fee can be rolled into your loan amount, or you can pay it at the time of closing. You can bring in a check and pay that difference.
So what you're saying is it's only going to cost me $150 to start this?
To start the process, correct.
And then if there's any other fees that are going to come out of the loan if I was approved at the end?
Correct.
Wow, that's terrific.
Yes. So we definitely need that to start the process. Without the app fee, we do not start any of the underwriting. The second item we will need is a summary of financial needs. So if you are looking to borrow $20,000, we just need a list of how that money will be borrowed. So for example, if you are using, let's just say $10,000 for marketing and $5,000 for inventory and another $5,000 for working capital, that's how you would list it, $20,000, and list.
So basically you're saying where I'm going to spend the
where you're going to spend the
borrowing.
money.
Okay.
Correct.
Mhm.
Business financial statement. If you are a startup, a true startup where you have not done anything, you will not have this. So you would just disregard this, put this as a NA.
Okay.
If let's just say you are a startup and have been operating for, let's just say, maybe 3 months, just provide us a profit and loss for those 3 months just so that we can see, how business is doing.
Okay.
For an existing business, it would be your most current profit and loss. So if you apply in November, we need your profit and loss from January till, let's just say, October.
And if I have an accountant, they could
can-
help me with that or
Yep,
send
they
it
can
over and I
help
can
with
send
that,
it. Okay,
absolutely.
great.
Collateral is what you are looking to offer. So if you are offering, let's just say, real estate, we would just need the property address.
Okay.
If you are providing a vehicle title as collateral, we would need the make, model, year, mileage, and color of the car.
Since I own the car, would you want the VIN number as well?
Yes.
Okay.
If let's just say you're using business assets. So let's just say that our loan is going to cover a big equipment, let's just say a vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you want to use as collateral. Then you would describe what that vehicle is. If you purchase equipment, just give us a list of the equipment that you may already own and the new items that you will be buying. That would be proof of collateral and what
Okay.
we're securing.
All right.
Business tax return, L. Again, if you are a startup business and you have not operated for 12 consecutive months, you will not have this, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
If you are existing, we need your last 3 years of full tax returns.
Yeah.
Personal tax returns. So this is for everyone. We need the last 3 years. So this little star here tells you that we need it for each guarantor. So if it's you and your brother, you will need to provide 3 years of tax return, as well as your brother has to provide 3 years of tax returns because you're both guarantors on the loan.
And in my personal tax returns, because I have an LLC, a lot of that business is already tied into that tax return. So you'll be able to see my business tax
Correct.
return
Yeah,
in
so
there
if your
anyway.
business and your person are together, then you just, as long as you provide 3 years, that will cross that out.
Okay, because not everybody files separate business. I mean, sometimes we keep it combined.
Correct.
Okay.
Resume. The key thing about the resume that we like and why we ask for it is that there are times when you don't realize that you have experience that may benefit your new business that you may not even think about it. So this just helps us when we're doing the underwriting, the experience that you have in the business or even your management experience, whether it's in the same business or not. It gives us also an idea of any certificates or educational classes that you've taken. So this is really helpful for us when we're doing the underwriting to talk about your management skills.
And also back up to the business plan. A lot of things that's in the business plan can also be supported by
Correct.
my resume.
Yep.
I see. Because what I'm going to contribute, my skill sets. Okay.
Right. The next one is always the operating or corporate agreement. So if you have an LLC, it would be an operating agreement. If you are a single member LLC, you technically don't need an operating agreement because what the operating agreement details is pretty much how the business is run and who is responsible for what and what percentage a person has on a business. So as I stated, if it's a single member, you really don't need an operating agreement. You would just cross this out and put NA.
But even a husband and wife would have an operating agreement, correct?
Well, yes. So if that would be considered a partnership.
Yes.
So if it's a husband and wife, brother and sister, you would need an operating agreement. And that is, like I stated, it's an agreement that tells you who's responsible for what ownership they have, if the business should fail, what will happen to the assets of the business. That
Okay.
explains all that information. And then the other item we would need is a lease agreement. So as a startup, if you don't have a lease, that is okay while we're doing the processing of the application. You can get a pseudo lease, which is a lease that is not signed, but it's sort of kind of in place, but not signed yet because you want to make sure that you get the funding first.
So if I have a location where I want to locate my business, but before I sign anything, I want to make sure I have funding.
Correct.
So that's okay. So at least you know where my business would be going.
Right. So we have an idea where it's going.
Okay.
If you're operating your business from your home, then obviously you don't have a lease because it's your home. So then at that point, this will be a NA.
Okay.
And that is pretty much the whole application packet for the Rising Tide.
So all the way through this application, if I have any questions, I could always reach out.
Oh, absolutely. You can reach out and contact Joe or myself, Yajahira, or Chris for any guidance or assistance if you need more clarification on anything.
And it's probably best if rather than, getting stuck or, sometimes we do lose momentum. I can see there's a lot of work to put together, but really, it's things that you should already have in place. So we're just kind of redefining what you're doing and making it clear for us.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Terrific.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for your help.
You're welcome.